I start out with an awesome bagel with, egg whites and Canadian bacon and cheese on it.
Hold
My
the
sandwich
fucking
later.
phone. Hold the fucking phone. Did you just say bagel?
Yeah, yeah, she does it. We did it originally with like a
It's a
biscuit, but it's
fucking bagel. Bagel.
bagel.
It's not B-E, it's B-A.
Bagel.
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 Bagel is not a fucking word. Fuck you,
Bagel.
bro. Dude. Bro, me and my mom get into this shit all the time. And I'm like, this
Wait,
motherfucker did not just say bagel.
why are you bitching about
It's
bagel?
bagel. Oh my God. Fuck you.
What is going on, my friends? Welcome back to the Tactical Discourse podcast. It's good to be back at it. Only about a week after our last episode, going over Charlie Kirk's impact on the world and a lot of the things that were happening after his death. I'm here with my amazing co-host, Mugen, the real Mugen XS, on this side, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little backwards.
Yeah.
And we've got a fun show for you today. This will be one of those shows too that I think will kind of show that we're not all one-sided in how we view the spectrum of government and what's going on in our world. We're teased a little bit in our last episode talking about Florida's change to the open carry law. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about Trump's reaction to Kimmel coming back, this whole Tylenol fiasco, a little bit of just general Maha recap, what's going on, and just have a good conversation. So I hope you guys enjoy, and it's good to be back with you. We're looking a little bit more fly this time, I'd say. It was this guy's idea to pull out the jackets, so
just a little bit. I look like a bum in the last video, bro. I'm just like, I gotta look good. I see all these people wearing coats and stuff on their little podcast or like really nice shirts, so I was like, why not?
never mind the fact that I am absolutely in gym shorts right now and socks. Like, I'm just not even gonna front with y'all. So,
oh damn, you got pants on?
all right, he's got me beat. Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, that just got awkward. I don't feel safe.
Yep. I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe. I promise I got the gun put away. But actually, I don't have to have it away now.
Yeah, we just have it out in the open. Wait a minute.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, yeah, I got my phone right here with me. Rocking it.
Yep,
wow, that was a little weird. I got a
yep,
hand
I
thing
still
behind.
have-
Well,
Yep, I got mine. I got mine too. Mine's right there.
fun
Oh, wait,
little
what?
aside. Why don't we talk about that real quick? If you guys are curious, I have got myself here the SIG 365 fuse. We are chambered, cleared, and empty. But this is the compact, sort of full size, in between, I guess, hybrid on the SIG line. I know SIG's gotten a lot of shit lately because of all the crap going on with the 320 and everything to ensue there. That could probably be its own show. But yeah, this is my everyday carry equipped with the Tier 1 Concealed Aegis Elite holster. I run appendix, and I'm a concealed guy. I don't really plan to change that. What do you think?
So I see, here's the thing. Sometimes I carry two. Sometimes I carry two. And
John
that's
Wick up in
because-
this. What?
Yeah, dude. Well, only because I only carry, let's see, I carry 8 in one, then plus one. And then I've got another that I carry that has 10 plus one.
Making me feel like Rambo
so-
over here with a single mag at
Yeah.
17 rounds.
Dude, it's retarded. It is so retarded. And then you got another one too, don't you? You have like a
I've got
23
two
round
21
mag.
extendeds, but I've got the two that I carry are the flush 17 because it's just more comfortable when you're driving. Or I mean, today I was one of the first days that I managed to finally get like my shirt tucked in and look business professional for doing showings, but still being able to carry. I might need to find a different solution because it's still kind of tough to get over those ulti clips. But I mean, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah. So for me, I got my G2C. This is probably one of the most inexpensive guns ever, dude. I paid like $300 and something for it, but the reason why I got it is to prove that it doesn't matter about the cost as the reliability.
Oh yeah,
this
100%.
gun is absolutely amazing to shoot. And then this is the first gun that I ever had. Everything is cleared.
That's
of
the
course,
XDM,
but,
yeah?
This is the XDS.
XDS,
mod.
yeah.
XDS mod 2. 9mm. And I like this gun, but I have a love-hate relationship with it because the safety of it is on the back.
Oh, it's the back, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yep.
you have to make sure. But I also like it because it helps you practice good gun control.
Yeah.
So you have a good grip on the gun when you do that. But I definitely always have one in the chamber, always, because it's just a stick if I don't.
Right.
But
Valuable seconds.
As far as how I feel about carrying, I definitely feel like this is something that we still need to be cautious about. I think that with everyone who is already feeling angsty on guns are going to be even more
My wife
angsty
included.
because,
She's like, I'm not going
yeah,
anywhere. Shit.
yeah, exactly.
Especially if you see
So
some guy like at Walmart today, which we'll get into that.
yeah, yeah. So I actually, it's funny that you bring up that point too, because I actually went to the gun shop just a couple of days ago, and I asked them. I said, "So how do you feel about the new gun law that's going to be passing here soon, and people allowing to open carry?" And he's like, "I hate it." Bro, straight up. He's an old Marine, dude. He's old, like 70 something years old. And I asked him, and he told me, he goes, if somebody comes in here and they're open carry and they have it on the side, then it's going to be a very awkward moment when they go to reach to it and say, "Hey, look what I got. Where do you think my hand's going to go?"
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to go straight to your side because you don't know if that gun is loaded. And a lot of gun shops they kind of look down on having a loaded gun in a gun shop, just because of safety reasons.
Sure. I mean, the amount of
So
times, like, I don't know if you guys have it, but over at Lead Feather, they have a jar of rounds that they've kept because of people who are like, oh, yeah, chamber's clear. We're good. It's unloaded. And they hand over the gun, and the first thing they do is lock the slide, and the freaking round flies out, and they're like, get out. Like, you don't even know what condition your weapon's in. They have a jar of bullets that they hold on to of all the idiots who came in not
that's
understanding or
awesome.
not realizing the state of their own firearm. If you don't know the condition of your firearm at all times, there's a problem. And even
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
do and you're
absolutely,
confident, you always treat a firearm as if it is chambered and dangerous, and you're always running
for
your
sure.
clear and safe drills and all. But yeah, it's I don't know. Does your range have like an uh-oh jar?
No, they don't have a dumbass bucket.
Yes.
Yeah, they don't. They don't. I honestly think too is because so if you kind of go to the gun shop that I go to, it's literally like a mom and pop gun shop.
Mm,
And I dig that so much, dude. It's like
yeah.
it's family owned.
It's outdoor
It's
too, right?
literally, yeah, it's a shack, bro. It's
That's
it's a
awesome.
shack. And it's cool. Like it's all dude, like I don't think that even has like a really good like what's it called? Foundation. I don't. I
Oh,
think
like
it's
it's all
all
go weak
fucking
building.
bro, it's all sticks. Like it's so cool. So
That's
so
funny.
we go there, he tells us the thing, but yeah, I mean, I totally think that we still should, like, I don't know about you, but I don't need anybody knowing what I got. Because if in the event, if someone has some ill intent, they're going to be like, he has one, he has one, he has one. Okay, so I got
Oh,
to watch these people, so it's like, nah, I don't need you to know what I have, because if in the event
yeah.
I need to protect somebody or protect myself, you're gonna look like Swiss cheese and not know it.
Yeah. I think that there's a lot of seasoned people who carry, who train, or who understand firearms, and most of them, I think, have had the same exact thing to say. Because I agree 100%. I want the tactical advantage. I do not want to be the one that you're scouting as target number one to take care of if you're planning to do something bad. Or if
Yeah.
you're just planning to get yourself a new gun, which is another point that there's going to be so many folks that need to realize the kind of holster you have. You better have a holster for one. No pocket carry in
Yep.
this bitch. Like, no, we don't do that. If I see it, man, I'm gonna have some words to say. I'm gonna be as polite as possible because I'm not trying to escalate a situation with another owner of a firearm, because you never know with people these days. But a proper holster, level 2 or 3, where you actually have to do more than just grab and go. Because one of the predictions I've made to like my dad and a couple of people I've talked to about it is I think there is going to be a brief uptick in a specific kind of crime, not gun violence related crime, but gun theft, because of people who see people open carrying them properly and think that they're going to
Yeah, that's
snatch
a
and grab.
good point. That's a
So
good point.
I mean, Florida has some serious law and order. We got Grady Judd. We got the badass in Brevard County. I don't remember his
Bro.
name. But
Yeah.
it's just with a tougher sort of mindset on crime. It's kind of like the whole like cheaters in games versus anti-cheat software. There's like a battle. Like we also are going to have the crazier criminals, the more ballsy, the crazier ones, or the better ones at what they do. I think it's going to be really important for people to keep that in mind. Be like, there's going to be some ballsy kid even that just thinks, I'm faster than that old man. That's a nice revolver. And they're going to think that they're going to grab it and run. I don't think it's going to take too long, because the second it starts happening, it's going to become well seen and well known, and then people are going to be like, oh shit, well, people know we're trying to do this now, and it's going to get cracked down probably through law enforcement and through just general atmosphere of people carrying. But seriously, guys, like if you haven't thought about it and you want to open, like, so there are some cases where I do intend to open carry. And that is when I am at home, I'm working on my yard, and I'm like sweaty and I don't want my gun like covered in my own sweat from mowing the lawn or whatever. Like I wouldn't mind having a level 2, level 3 outside the waistband holster with my firearm there. I'm doing stuff around the house. I mean, at your home is the most dangerous and most common place where you need to be ready to do something. I think it's like 80% plus of gun-related incidents where people have had to use their weapon to defend themselves is in the home. Whether it's midday, at night, it's not when you're out going to 7-Eleven usually. It's not when you're out and about, when you're like, I'm going out, so I'm strapped. No, it's like, I'm going home. I'm going to set my gun on my nightstand. Or it's in my office, and I'm going to go do some yard work. And then something crazy happens, and your gun's inside. That's kind of my long way of saying, like, I like the idea of being able to have just open carry, you know, on a good level 2, level 3 holster on my hip outside. That and fishing, to your point. But the other thing that I want to touch on real quick before I shut up because I'm talking forever is the fact that, like, this is also a really big deal for shit hit the fan moments where you want to be able to quickly access your rifle. Like, say you're in your car, under current rules, like, that shit's got to be locked up in a case, out of the way. You know, you got to basically fight to your rifle is kind of a pretty common saying. Like, you're using your handgun to get to your trunk or to get to wherever it is. But this gives a lot of carriers the ability to have their weapon, you know, be smart about it. Maybe have it in a way that you can do like a quick release to release it. Don't just leave it in your car. Don't do anything that should be common sense. Should be. But if you're in a moment where,
lightly,
yeah, you're at a gas station or something happens like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't even bring this up. I don't know when this was. I just saw it on Coleon Noir's channel, which freaking amazing channel covering firearms and everything. He's amazing. But he showed, it was basically like why you need 30 rounds, basically why you need an AR. And it was over in I think Sacramento or whatever in California. They backed a truck into a jewelry store and like 15 people in hoodies got out with hammers and crowbars bashing stuff in. Midday, 2 p.m. in the afternoon. That is not as likely to happen in the free state of Florida or a place like Texas where there is good gun culture.
Dude.
But it's
don't
like,
do it in Florida.
At the same time,
Texas is hard.
if something like that pops off, I want to be able to get to my rifle. That way I can make sure I get out of there. I mean, you always have the ability to, well, you hopefully always have the ability to flee. Like, that should be your first thing, unless there's like innocents around you and it's time to stand your ground, castle doctrine, however you want to look at it. If you feel the need to protect the innocents that are around you too, I mean, there's a lot of ways to kind of talk and parse that out. But having quick access to a rifle that isn't locked in a case because you can now open carry, I think that that is another, hopefully never happens kind of scenario, but really good to have if shit hits the fan, which is kind of the whole scenario to begin with. I don't know if you've given any of that any thought, but aside from that, yeah, I want to be unknown. I want to be tactical. I want to be a surprise. I don't want to be a target, like a clear as day, like, hey, that guy's carrying.
Exactly. I mean, with you are going to have those people that are just very ignorant when it comes to guns. And it's not, you know, it's not really to the fault of their own. It's just a lack of knowledge. Mm-hmm. So the good thing about, you know, this guy and myself is that, you know, when we see that, we'll kind of help, hey, like, be like, hey, you know, like, probably shouldn't do that. But, you know, obviously in the nicest way possible, and hopefully things don't escalate. But, you know, you've got, you know, like that one video that I think you tagged me in on X. You know, that guy is like sitting there.
What I said the dude was like fondling his piece. Oh, he didn't really look like, maybe he was unloading. I don't know. He had his hands in a position though where it's like that could be a ready threat. You're in a position where you're less than a second from pointing and shooting. You gotta be careful with that, man. Like there is such a fine line that can be crossed without even realizing it between safely open carrying and brandishing.
Yeah. Well, you've got these places too. Also, you know, it's like, yeah, it's a Florida state law to where you can carry now, but you still have places of business that you can't bring it into. So obviously places of government you can't bring it into. So school, a courthouse, like whatever, a DMV, like you can't do it. So, you know, Walmart doesn't allow it. I'm sure, you know, places like Chick-fil-A and like there's stores that just don't allow guns to be.
Some will have signage too, and if they don't, you want to be as upstanding and confident and mature as possible if you want to go also just exercise your Second Amendment right, which I can respect that. There are content creators like the Armed Fisherman, Solo Yacker. You know, he did that forever because he was like to and from fishing and he had his AR on his chest with his GoPro and his sidearm. And man, his goal was to kind of be a two-way advocate, which I really appreciate. But he definitely put himself literally in the crosshairs on several occasions because a lot of police officers didn't understand that we did have open carry conditions to and from fishing, camping, range. Like, it doesn't matter if you're not there fishing yet. If you got a crab net in your hand walking to a pier, or like from here, say dad shows up with the boat, we strap up like we're commandos, but we got fishing poles and we're heading to like the Gandhi drop in Tampa. That whole way there, as long as we don't take obvious stops, like you can't just like stop and decide to go shopping at Bass Pro open carrying. Like, okay, no, now you're no longer to fishing.
Yeah.
You know, it's where the right cop can kind of be like, really, bro?
It's that gray line.
Yeah, I know what you're doing. That. But what he would do is just to and from wherever he's going, and he will walk through crowded areas too. And most people, man, in Florida were like, hell yeah, brother. Like there is a really large contingent of our population that is healthy around firearms. Which, I mean, for a lot of people that might listen to this might be like, healthy around firearms? Oh my God. But it's a culture, you know, it's education. It's being brought up right around them. It's not to say everybody. To your point, there are going to be plenty of idiots that abuse or don't understand where they're crossing that line. And I think that is something that we as a gun community will be able to educate out. And it's going to be like a culture shift, I think, for the state of Florida to kind of, I mean, 42 other states have been open carry. The majority of the country is open carry and constitutional, like permitless carry. And there are some other rules and stuff that were coming out in September that I haven't like validated. So this is all grain of salt and take my word for it. But I think they've Supreme Court's even allowed for basically full reciprocity, kind of like a driver's license, the safe transport of firearms. So if you're traveling from like Florida to California and you get pulled over somewhere in between, if your stuff is properly secured, it's not a means of being able to be searched and taken in. There are a lot of things that just allegedly happened. And I only say that because I haven't, aside from watching a YouTube channel, which has a pretty good track record, I haven't like dug in myself to verify, so I don't want to make any positive claims, but a lot of really good things that are really positive for the two-way movement, but kind of like the initial teething moment, there's going to be like a culture shift, I think, where we're going from being a little bit more like chill, kind of quiet, like I guess actually that's a good way to put it, like more conservative with the weapons, to being a lot more like, what's up guys? So which we don't want that. That's brandishing. No, that's bad. But I know I'm excited to see the shift in the mindset and the acceptance of open carry culture. I think that's good. I think it's constitutional. I think it's good for 2A. But I also think that everybody is going to need to keep their head on a swivel. There was a comment that I saw where somebody was like, oh, great, now I'm worried that if I'm in line and bump somebody, it's going to escalate an argument and I'm going to get shot. And my comment reply to that was, do you think that person, do you think that person wasn't concealed carrying before that? Like, do you think he just didn't have a gun before? Like, no, we have them. And we don't bump into each other and go, fuck you. Like, that's so wrong. It's not what we do, bro. And I think that's the culture that's continuing to shift. I think that's a good thing.
I definitely think that there's going to be, like, I think towards the end of things, it's gonna be really good. I mean, there's always going to be a level of nervousness regarding the issue with guns and people carrying, and now openly carrying. I know people have kids. I know people are worried about their family, or even pets. Like, I know some people, either can't have kids or don't want kids, but their pups or their cats are like their thing. So I mean, I get that there's going to be a level of nervousness, but it's our job to stay vigilant and stay focused and just be aware of your surroundings. Be aware not so much of your surroundings as it is to mannerisms of people that you come across with. Like, if you see, like, there's a person that's kind of, like, for lack of a better word, kind of cracked out, you probably don't want to be around them because you don't know if they are carrying, or if they are carrying, you definitely don't want to be around them. So
and they could be carrying illegally too. Sometimes you just got to use your better judgment, because people will get a hold of weapons illegally. That is not going to change. I mean, we can hope to reduce it. And I mean, the best way to stop a crackhead that pulls out a gun is for the good guy next to him to pull out theirs. You know, it's still a sad outcome, but it protects people.
Yeah, and that's something that I fight my mother really hard on, dude, because she doesn't want to ever own a gun. Like I let her hold my gun and she was just like, "All right, take it." And I'm just like, "Dude,
It's like immediate
I said
anxiety.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah." And then her girlfriend, she held a gun for the first time and with me, let her hold the G2C and she's like, "Gosh, this is heavy." And I was like, "It's not even loaded." Like
It
let me
gets
put the
heavier.
magazine in. I was like,
Yeah.
"It does get heavier." And she goes, "How does it like?" And she's going like this. I was like, "Yeah, it's gonna kick back a little bit, you know." I'm
Mhm.
like, this is a human hole puncher. Like this is
It's
not
my
a
wireless hole puncher. It's filled with
dude.
methicillin.
Yeah, let us still in like that. But I mean, dude,
Oh,
it's like, and I tell them and I try to convince them and say, hey, listen, I know that you don't like guns. I get it. But it's honestly probably one of the best things that you can do, especially if you are a law-abiding citizen.
yeah.
Great movie, by the way.
Oh, I
Um,
know. My gosh, amazing
the
movie.
if you're a law-abiding citizen, there shouldn't be a reason for you not to have one. You want to take that to, protect your family, to protect yourself, to protect others. And I'm sorry, but I don't leave my gun at home. I don't.
No,
If I'm out, my gun's with me.
I
Period.
feel weird if it's not close to me.
Same.
Like
Yeah.
it's on my desk now and I know where it is and it's like an extension of me at this point. And I think that
Mhm.
that's a level of comfort that I hope a lot of people get to, but also kind of the intricacies rather of knowing your weapon too, like taking it apart, field stripping it, cleaning it, getting to know the ins and outs of it. Like you don't need to become a full-on gunsmith, but the more comfortable you are with how the totality of your firearm works. And I mean, a lot of handguns are pretty simple too. I field strip mine and I get down to like 5 key parts really between my recoil spring, the barrel itself, the slide, the frame.
Yeah.
Because I don't pull out the trigger assembly or anything. That obviously stays in.
So before we actually get into this next topic, because I actually, as exciting as that conversation was, I don't think that him and I both plan to have a long conversation about guns like that. Before we get into this next topic, I do want to let everybody know that we are a podcast of two dudes that have regular 9 to 5 jobs. We have wives. I have kids. He's got fur babies. So we've got a lot of stuff that we do on our normal day-to-day basis. We're not ABC, we're not Fox, we're not MSNBC, we're
Breaking
none of these
news.
news media outlets. So
Yeah.
topics that we talk about are going to be topics that we feel are important to us, not to make light of any other topics that are happening in the world
Mhm.
any less important. It's just something that stuck out with us. It resonated with us. And the reason why I say that is because we had a nice gentleman that made a comment in our X account on one of our videos that there was 25 school shootings, but we're going to cover Charlie Kirk. Okay, so first off, there wasn't 25 school shootings in the month of
Yeah.
September. Like that's
Definitely
stupid.
not. I'm pretty
No.
sure that that would be headline news if that was the
Yeah.
case. Holy hell.
I
There's only been
I think
two.
we checked. It was only two.
As far as school shootings, yeah, we had the Colorado shooting, and then I think there was one other, which I can check Grok real
Was
quick
it
on
the
that. But
church? It was the church one, right? The
well,
The
that
Catholic
was
school.
the Catholic school one. Is what I was talking about. Is the one I know for sure with the trans shooter. September 12th, North Little Rock High School, North Little Rock, Arizona. One adult injured by gunfire in the bleachers during a game on September 12th.
So nobody died on that
Yeah,
one. That's great.
actually, I don't think the Catholic shooter was that August? When
Could have very well
was
been
yeah?
It would
Because
have been
Charlie
at the
Kirk
end
was
of August
September 10th. So yeah.
10th. Yeah, so
Oop,
that would have
let me.
been. Wait a minute, didn't it happen at the same time?
No, that was the Colorado shooting.
Oh, okay, okay. I
Yeah,
gotcha. I gotcha. Yeah, 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 yeah. But like as we were saying though, it's like it doesn't make these topics any less important. The people that
August
were lost in
27th.
that
Sorry.
time. Okay, so technically we only had one in September, dude.
Well, no,
Chill
no,
out.
we still had two in September according to the
Okay,
data
well,
here. Yeah,
still, that
one
two
in.
is a long far cry from 25.
Yeah,
Like, like don't make it like such a crazy big deal. I'm not saying that the lives of these people are any less important than Charlie Kirk's. I was just We were just trying to make, the situation, make people realize, the severity of the situation as far as his impact to the world. I'm gonna reiterate that, the world, because everybody knew Charlie Kirk except my mom for some reason. She doesn't ever go on social media, but it's okay. But yeah. So, anyways, so yeah. So just so you guys know, this is not something, sometimes we talk about the topic throughout the week, and then when we have the video that we want to do, or when we decide on the time that we want to do the video, we'll kind of do like a little brain crash course, talk about it a little bit, and then we start to record. So sometimes we just do a video and just talk about topics that we actually just started talking about when we jump on. So nothing is ever really scripted. So besides that, did you want to add anything to that before we continue on to the next one?
Well, yeah, I mean, a
Next
lot of
topic?
things that we might not have covered is there's an extra three-letter word at the end of that, which is just yet. We only have a limited amount of
Yeah.
time to record, and who knows when we're going to go on a possible 4-hour tirade about guns because it's us, and
Yeah.
it's a good conversation. We don't want to cut that short or cut it out or in lieu of making sure we cover everything else. But if there's like a really exciting story or something crazy going on, don't feel like we're going to ignore it or afraid to bring it up. In fact, I encourage anybody who's watching this, if you got questions about it, you don't agree with what we said about guns, you don't agree with Florida's take, you don't agree with anything we said, or you do agree, let us know. Hit us up on X or YouTube, comments, DM on X, KM Discourse, same on YouTube. We would love to cover topics that are important to people, whether in the US here with us, which is mostly what we're covering, but we're also going to reach out to broader things in the world that impact us or the way that our country is impacting the world. We don't really have any limits here. Again, we
No, we
want to talk
don't.
about what we find interesting, but also the whole point of tactical discourse is in the name. It's something that requires tact and tactic to kind of navigate tougher potential conversations. Like, I mean, as a teaser, I was going to kind of save this for the end, but kind of like in the gun topic. Like, we even hope to eventually, whenever we figure it out, to have even like a call-in show option where those of you who want to debate us live can do so. Maybe keep it to like a voicemail options for 30, 60 seconds or like some kind of screening thing. We'll figure out all the details. But then have a good conversation and you present your points as to why you don't like this or that, whether it's whatever's going on, politics, guns, religion, I don't know, whatever is relevant to what we're discussing, obviously is nice. Unless it's just really fascinating. We're both like, yo, let's just tackle this right now. So
Yeah.
I guess we're free flowing here and we're going to do what we can. And we want to get to everything that's important, but try not to get too upset if we might miss a thing or two or we don't cover something that you really wanted to see. And if we don't,
Yeah,
again, let us know, man.
it's not intentional.
Yeah.
And we do have our names in our discourse, here as as a map to know how to get to us. YouTube and X are right down there at the left of your screen. So I mean, it's all you got to do is just message us, and if you want to message personally on mine, it's the real Mugen XS on X, and then yeah, just hit us up. It's really not a big deal. I prefer for you to just at me on a post versus sending me a private message on X, just because I'm tired of bots. If I happen to overlook you and you're not verified, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm going to assume that you're a bot. Like, it's not that I'm trying to be a dick and I'm trying to like cut you out. I just don't know if you're for real. If I happen to find you, then great. If not, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Um,
And we're not super huge. So, like, there's a good chance if you at KM Discourse or even our personal accounts with a topic, we're likely to see it. Now, it can potentially get washed away in the noise. So, if we don't see it, add us again or comment to us, tag us in it. Don't be afraid of trying to get our attention. I'm not going to be mean about it. I mean, I'm going to match
same.
energy.
Yeah.
If you're cool and you're like, hey, I really would like to know about this, or I think you got this wrong, I will not shy away from a good conversation. So if I'm not responding, I probably just didn't see it or haven't seen it yet. So yeah,
Yeah.
just
Yep.
patience. Add us, let us know what's up. Be happy to have a conversation.
For sure. So not to go on so much of a rant, but we wanted just to kind of share like where we stand as far as, the commentators and the heckles, in the back. So, another topic that we wanted to talk about was this uprise of people taking medications not the way that they're supposed to be taken. So we're clear,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that we can probably edit this into the video, but there was a post by Tylenol specifically back in 2017 where they said, we don't recommend that you take any of our products during pregnancy. And we have our scientist here that will kind of go more in depth a little bit on things, but you know, anything that you take is good in moderation. You have to realize that, and that's going to be with anything. You know, your diet, obviously, if you eat too much, you're going to get fat. You don't, you know, like, you got to take things little by little. So if you're going to shove pills down your throat, you got to know what you're going to get. And you know, from what I understand, you know, there's been several people that have been, you know, in an ICU, or people that are in the hospital because they decided to chug a bunch of medication and now they're having liver failure. They may not make it, you know, now they got to worry about babies, and it's just a big mess. And you know, whether the information that I'm seeing is accurate or not, the fact still stands that if you take too much of, you know, the Tylenol, you can go into liver failure and pass. So let's not be dumb and do that. I will pass it off to Kaz on this one. He's pretty good with this the scientific aspect on this, in regards to it actually, you know, potentially not causing autism and other things like that. So
it's unconfirmed whether or not this is in fact just taking because we've seen the videos of people who are, you know, obviously trying to, you know, dunk on Trump by taking Tylenol while they're pregnant to try to prove a point. And then, of course, the counter to that is going to be a lot of right-wing influencers trying to kind of point out the highest extreme in those cases when it comes to what they're doing, and like kind of an FAFO sort of reaction to it, which in our current political climate, I get.
This is going to be one of those things too, where it's like you're going to see the extremists of both sides. So it's not going to be one or the other. So I mean, I would definitely believe that there's going to be someone in this world that's just going to be like, I'm going to prove this orange man wrong, and then, you know, dump a whole bottle of Tylenol, or, you know, something close to it. And then you're going to have someone on the other side who's going to be like, yeah, they're really doing it. Like, there's going to be bad on both sides, guys. And not to say that the information that we're going to be giving you is right, or whether the information is wrong. Our whole attempt is to kind of like clear the air, essentially be the middle person, or the mediator, I guess, of the two, I guess we could say.
Yeah, kind of a rebalancing and a centering, basing things on facts. So this kind of leads into later a more broader critique, especially coming from me. I have a background in medical fitness and nutrition, more so officially in medical as a certified respiratory therapist before I decided to be an Uber driver. As funny as that is to hear. The medical side is cool, but it just kind of like wasn't really where the passion was. And to kind of wrap that quick story up, feel free to ask me questions if you guys have them. I got my Associates of Science in Respiratory Therapy out of California College, San Diego. I did clinical trials at an end-of-life care facility over in the valley, kind of to the east, and then I actually worked at Paradise Valley Hospital for my clinical rotations, actually in the hospital, mostly responding ER, code blue, and aside from that, just kind of boring rounds in a hospital, doing nebulizer treatments, just taking care of the old people with bad smoking habits and such, because like RTs, respiratory therapists, are like, not to overhype it, kind of like the spec ops compared to nurses who are more general. Because nurses take care of everything, including, you know, the poop and vomit, which I can't handle. I will handle blood and mucus and internals all day, but the second that happens, I'm just like, nurse, help. I've always had a curiosity for science and for fact and reason-based thinking, which has mostly led me to where my current worldview is as a person, which we'll be able to, you know, get into through either call-in show debates or just us kind of just casually talking about the way to actually blend, which I think is important, faith and science, not one or the other. I don't think you need one or the other. I think that's really retarded, honestly. You know, and I recommend everybody to not just take what I say or what I tell you Grok is telling me either as evidence or backup, to go and double check, cross-reference, get things from different sources. Because unfortunately what happens...
Research.
Yeah, do your own research, and not like in an unironic way, like a flat earther will tell you. You're like, do the actual research. Like, be uncomfortable trying to look it up because you might see something that you don't agree with. That's how you know, you're like, oh, now I'm getting into it. Now I'm seeing what's up. Because as much as I love a lot of what the Trump administration has done, the movements that Maha's making with RFK and Dr. Oz, of all people, how the fuck is that guy standing up next to the president? I don't understand it. It's like if one of the women from The View was standing next to the president. It's like, dude, get out of here. You're not credible, bro.
The comparison is uncanny.
It's bad. This guy's made a living selling basically homeopathic remedies to old white women to, help them feel younger and stuff. It's the snake oil charlatan stuff online, or the way people would peddle like taking silver to cure cancer. It's things that are, it's snake oil sales in the worst of it, and in the most innocent way, it's just ignorance that can lead to people not getting proper medical treatment because they hear buzzwords about things that are synthetic versus organic, automatically thinking that organic is good for you and synthetic is bad. Well, last I checked, AC is good for you and snake venom kills you. One of those is synthetic, one of those is natural. It's not so quick as to say that, one thing is automatically the other. That's where nuance and study and understanding things comes in. And in the case of Tylenol, acetaminophen, not just Tylenol, there are a bunch of generic drugs that haven't been mentioned. Tylenol is kind of getting hit pretty hard as a company. It's like, oh shit, they're getting all the brunt of this. It's like, well, they're not the only thing with acetaminophen in it. Now, it is true that you should not overdose and potentially put yourself in a hospital because you want to prove a point, like an idiot. But if you're in a case where you are sick and have a high fever, that is what something like acetaminophen is meant to mitigate. And it is, of the drugs you can get to do that, the only thing that is actually safely recommended to not hurt the child. Other things like ibuprofen and such can have deleterious effects on memory, on brain development, on a lot of things. And this isn't old news. This is stuff, there are so many randomized controlled trials, which is one of the best ways that you can do scientific study, because basically you have several cohorts of people that don't know what they're taking, and they're on similar diets, similar things. They don't know that, subject A is on a placebo, basically a sugar pill that does nothing. Subject B is on acetaminophen. Subject C is on some other drug. And then at the end of the cohort study, however long it is, the longer the better, because you're getting more data and a larger sample size, you actually see the tangible changes, and there's no the person knows what they're taking, so their body's physiologically doing things that would affect the results. That's the good thing about double-blind tests, randomized controlled trials. It takes the human factor, knowing what's up, and maybe tweaking your diet or doing other things to mess up the results out of the equation. And we have decades of these studies that show that there is no causal link to autism. Now, this is a very important word, causality. Just because I happen to take a breath and somebody in the world gets hit by a car doesn't mean the more that I breathe, the more people die by getting hit by cars. These things may be happening at the same time. They are not causally related. One is not causing the other. And a lot of these cases where they've looked at recent studies, like the ones that are being cited, these, let me find it real fast. In the 2025 reviews, the 46 study meta-analysis, it shows small links, 20 to 50% higher odds in observational data, meaning they haven't done new studies. They're looking at old studies, and they're seeing small trace markers of where there may be increased cases of autism, or whatever thing you might be looking for is applicable here, especially in later trimesters, but no causation is proven. There's nothing from this that says, oh, it was because of acetaminophen. There's likely other confounding factors like maternal health, other habits, other things. Now, this is where me being a science geek, I get excited, because now it means, okay, let's do the research. So basically, with the way this has been presented by the Trump administration, is a claim like, we know what's causing autism and it's this. It's like, no. The proper way to do this now is you are making a hypothesis, a prediction, and now it's time to do an experiment. Let's do the scientific method. Let's figure out if it is causally related. That is how you progress and figure out the actual truth, and possibly figure out oh man, actually this random thing here does have some causally thing. And when it comes to results and such, there's noise in data, and there's a certain level of significance to where it's, the more confident you are, the more significant the difference or the delta is. Like 5 sigma, for an example, it means that there is a 1 in a large number chance that this could be wrong. Basically, the likelihood that this is an incorrect result is so small that you can deem it as just factually true. And you get to that with good study by looking at causal results and then running different studies and different groups running different experiments to try to prove each other wrong. That's kind of the beautiful thing about science, is everyone's trying to prove each other wrong to be the one who gets it right.
Yeah.
Nobody's trying to like just sign on to a thing and say, yeah, guys, this is what's happening. Basically, do what we tell you to live a healthier life. It's like, well, no, it's not that simple. You know, you need to dig deeper. There's more nuance to it. It's the same thing with the claims around autism and vaccines. There are so many randomized controlled trials over decades that have shown that there is no link there. The biggest thing I can tell you all right now with the utmost confidence is that autism has not gone up in any crazy new way, like new cases arising. We as a species have gotten better at identifying it. We know what to look for now. Yeah. So there seems to be a lot more of it. And before 1980s, autism was described as like schizophrenia for kids. And then it became a single classification of like the highest degree of like what we typically think of with autism being like super nonverbal, need help going through life kind of a thing. That was the only classification. But then you had level 1 and level 2 added. There's a good chance that I'm level 1. But and with your standard idea of what autism is, you would likely not look at me and think, oh yeah, he's autistic as fuck. And we've gotten better because we're not misdiagnosing. And I say we because I'm just talking like as a species, as humans. So don't linger too much like I'm not the scientist doing the studies. No, but we as a collective species, as a collective intelligence, have gotten better at identifying the diseases. It's not like before the 1900s, nobody was autistic. It's like, well, no. Or like schizophrenia and all the other issues that we're like learning now. It's like, it didn't just randomly poof into existence. No, we learned how to identify it. And when you can recognize the signs for things and you start to classify them in different ways, splitting them up into larger spectrums, levels, you know, that's why we call it a spectrum, because there's varying degrees of severity with regard to how autism presents in different people. It's just, it's not that deep, to use something that kids would say. It's not like it's popping up because we're super unhealthy, which that is its own problem. Yeah, we are super unhealthy. That's a completely different topic to get into, and one area where I would support any health secretary and trying to make us less fat, more fit, live longer. You know, those are good things. But this weird fixation on vaccines and autism, it ends up putting you in a case like we've had recently in Texas, where a couple of deaths of children with measles caused him to have to back up and be like, oh shit, no, get MMR there. Here in the state of Florida, we don't require MMR anymore for measles. So that means that people that don't want to vaccinate their kids can choose not to. And, you know, this is going to sound a little harsh, but yeah, that's kind of a Darwinism award right there. It sucks. But like, if you're choosing not to vax your kids and they're around kids who are, the kids who are not going to catch it. Your kid might, and your kid might not be here anymore, because you decided, I don't trust it, or I don't want to do it, or they said I shouldn't. So this is a lot more nuanced and a lot more important than some folks will give it credit for. And with regard to just kind of the general atmosphere around vaccines, I mean, there was the extra case where like 83 children died in Samoa because of this too. But that isn't really talked about as much. RFK went over there and had a meeting with some folks. You know, they're all deemed as kind of like an anti-vaxxer crowd. And we've seen him in hearings say that he's not an anti-vaxxer, you know, he does support them. But what you say versus the actions you take, like cutting funding and research, cutting the experts out of the CDC. And I know some people kind of get triggered by the whole trust the science, trust the experts things because of what we went through with COVID. Two things can be true at the same time. It can be true that people abused their power, you know, the experts, and made us seem crazy because we were questioning anything, questioning the narrative, questioning what was going on. And a lot of that came to be true, and that we needed to question it. But that does not therefore mean you throw away all credible scientific endeavor. That's how you go from questioning people to making idiocracy real life. If you haven't seen the movie, go watch it. It might be a little alarming how close we seem to be getting to that turning point. I support so much of what we're doing with the economy, even the tariffs, border control, all of that. With my breadth of knowledge in fitness and nutrition and scientific testing and data and meta-analysis, analyzing data, talking about data. And some of you have seen me do it on the Cyberlib channel, just going over FSD stuff. I love that stuff, and I love talking about that stuff. So I'll be a happy sort of maybe science corner, with the caveat that I am not, you know, actively participating in this field myself. I am a communicator of it. So I don't want to falsely claim or, you know, overtly claim actual practicing expertise on certain things that are happening. If you take anything away from this little bit of the conversation, it's just stop and look at what you're being told and don't weigh it through a political lens. Go to the sources. It's the science is there. It might be boring to look up. You can run it through ChatGPT and Grok to help you. And honestly, some of the things you tell Grok or ChatGPT to do is, hey, I've seen this claim. Please find the facts using nonpartisan sources, using non-biased sources. Take the approach of an alien or a super intelligent computer on the outside of our politics and give me it straight. Give me the real stuff. And where we don't know, help me understand why. You can talk to AI in this way that will help you become more more intelligent, more informed, and better prepared to handle these conversations versus just, maybe seeing something in a super popular person that you like on X or Facebook or wherever that says a thing. And you're like, yeah, I like them and I trust what they've said. So I'm going to run with this. They might say 9 out of 10 things that are great. And that one thing they say is dangerous. And you got to be careful, take a second to kind of think back and be like, wait a minute, what's going on here? There are a few other things. I mean, I don't want to make this another 2-hour session just talking about this, but our desire that we've seen to switch from high fructose corn syrup to cane sugar, all that's going to do is take your Coke and make it organic Coke and more expensive and go to Whole Foods for it, essentially. I mean, because they both break down the same way in the body. When it's broken down, it's basically the same. A separation of fructose and glucose. It's no different. If we really wanted to change it to where when you're having a Coke at lunch or something, we would start using sucralose. It is basically 0 calorie. It's even sweeter than sugar. There'd be some, manufacturing to, get it into production and all. But like, if we really wanted to make a change where we're actually reducing calories in a large way with the way people are consuming like their sugary, ultra processed, snack foods and such, we wouldn't be using high fructose or cane sugar. We would be going to something like sucralose. That is 0 sugar, like basically 0 calorie. It's damn near a cheat code, thanks to the marvels of science. And there are great videos from like Renaissance Periodization, Dr. Mike Israetel on the fitness side that goes into a lot of this stuff. And I don't know, there's just a lot more here than what's being seen. And we got to be really careful with these buzzwords around going like for a more natural or holistic option. These are things that appeal to Mary, who's all about her crystals and good energy and healing because of the earth, and it's like, not to be overly mean there, like there are a lot of good things that come from, natural diets and such, but it's not magic. And it's not to make our innovations in health somehow unhealthy. Now, there are things like getting into food dyes and all that other stuff that I'd have to do more research on myself to see, like, getting rid of unnecessary things to me, just from an efficiency standpoint, just sounds smart. Like, why do we have all this extra crap in here if we don't need it? Now, if it's to make the food last longer, or if we get into GMOs, which are a great thing. Oh man, how many of you just shat your pants when I said that? So like, GMO is one of the best breakthroughs in science when it comes to food, and we can get into a whole, like, we can do a pod on nutrition if we want at some point, depending on like questions people have or even questions you might have, because you might be hearing a lot of this from me for the first time, because this is the world that I've been in for like the last decade. On my fitness journey and
I'm seeing a whole other side of you today.
Oh, I bet.
Like,
yeah,
this is a lot.
And I think that the health side of Maha is great, going for making us healthier, making us more active, maybe making it more aware that we shouldn't be having so much McDonald's and shit. I get it, but we got to keep our thinking caps on straight here with a lot of this.
So some of the things that you mentioned, I actually didn't even know, like the sugar cane and the high fructose, corn syrup. Like I would never thought, like, I mean, granted, I don't really drink anything that has sugar in it anyways.
I'm basically all sugar free with anything.
So
not a
good,
sponsor.
by the way.
Not a sponsor.
I love that. Yeah, I know. And it's funny because I got Coke.
Yep. Energy drinks and such too. Like, I'm not gonna shame anybody on like what they decide to eat and drink, but yeah, I've been a part of the 0 sugar, low calorie life for a long time.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's what I do. I drink zero sugar Pepsi, Coke.
And honestly, it tastes
Pepper. Great. It does. I mean, it doesn't. To me, it doesn't taste any different. The only difference is, for me, is the carbonation level is different between.
Yeah, sometimes it gets flatter faster. I'll notice. There can be a little differences. Yeah, you want to drink it cold and maybe drink a little quicker than you would some other stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yep.
Absolutely.
I did that the other day. I was drinking. What was it? It was the new Sprite Chill, where it's like cherry lime or some shit like that, and 0 sugar, and it's so good, bro.
That sounds good.
I don't have a problem with drinking things warm. or like at room temperature. So like, like at work, I'll run up to my kitchen real quick, grab a drink, come back, sit down, pop it open, have like a 15-minute conversation with somebody, and then I go to drink it. I'm like, fuck, that bitch is flat as fuck right now.
I'll tell you, this
But
does not taste as good when it goes flat either.
yeah,
I
no, it
definitely got to
really
enjoy
doesn't.
it cold. Whether it's like,
Yeah.
like zero sugar Canada Dry, we have the not to go too off tangent, but we have like the Soda Streams, or we get like the Code Red Mountain Dew zero sugar
I'm
stuff,
gonna
or
get those.
Starry.
I want the Soda
So,
Streams. I
'cause,
want
I
to
mean,
get
it's
those.
you're basically just drinking flavored water at that point, but it tastes like you got a Code
Yeah.
Red Mountain Dew, man, and it's
Yeah.
awesome. We love it. I mean, 'cause it's all about kind of satisfying, the cravings and the fun. It's like we're flexible, balanced dieters. Like we have a macro plan that I'm very lucky that my wife takes care of, and I start out with an awesome bagel with egg whites and Canadian bacon and cheese on it.
Hold
My
the
sandwich
fucking
later.
phone. Hold the fucking phone. Did you just say bagel?
Yeah, she does it. We did it originally with like a
It's a
biscuit, but it's
fucking bagel. Bagel. There's no.
bagel.
It's not B-E. It's B-A.
Bagel.
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 Bagel is not a fucking word. Fuck you,
Bagel.
bro. Dude. Bro, me and my mom get into this shit all the time. And I'm like, this
Wait.
motherfucker did not just say bagel.
Why are you bitching about
It's
bagel?
bagel. Oh my God. Fuck you. Go ahead with your damn
I'm
story.
all bagel, my bagel. No, but I mean, like what we'll also do too is we kind of have like a calorie bank, so to speak, and
yeah.
we'll like choose to be a little bit more disciplined throughout the week. That way, like maybe on a Saturday, we want to go to Volcano Bay or Epcot and splurge a little bit, have some dirtier foods with higher calories. But we know that at the end of the week, we're still either at maintenance or at a calorie deficit, so it's not affecting our goals in an adverse way. At the end of the day, though, you got to be really careful when it comes to the way people present these things, like the potential, and I say potential because the young woman who was said to have been hospitalized by overdosing in a, sort of like a reactive, F you Trump sort of mindset, it hasn't really been, confirmed concretely, and there's a decent chance that it is one of those cases where, for anybody who might be watching, one of your trusted sort of MAGA influencers or a page that you like kind of ran with something, kind of capitalizing on the scene or the scenario, and it contributes to some fear mongering with the medicine that can, lead people to maybe not take it, which could have the, downstream effects of somebody having a high fever that does do some damage to a child, where if they had just taken the damn Tylenol, they'd both be healthy. So we got to be really careful about that. And it sort of dovetails into just a general practice with fear mongering and being careful with how you might use your influence when you're, trying to change narratives, or even in a good way, as an example with kind of reacting to a lot of the vitriol we've seen with Charlie Kirk. Going back to Jimmy Kimmel, who's now back on ABC, none of us liked what he had to say, whether it was a joke in poor taste, whatever the hell it was, when he tried to make it basically gaslight us into thinking that the shooter was just another MAGA person, kind of like the other idiot who was like immediately fired for saying that they didn't know if it was just a supporter that was shooting their gun off in celebration. You remember that crap?
Yep.
Like absolutely insane. But when you get fed this idea that, he's just taken down because of the optics, or not the optics, but rather the data behind nighttime television, the fact that it's not making any money, and you have some people that are kind of like, I don't know, the chair of the FCC, the Federal Communication Commission, like that's a government apparatus, basically saying, hey, figure this out, directly, indirectly, kind of threatening Kimmel's position at ABC or wherever he's at because of what he said. Yeah, I agree. He shouldn't have said it. It's like we said last time on our show, read the room. Taste your words before you spit them out, right? And he didn't. And, he was officially suspended indefinitely. He wasn't, like, canceled. But then Trump did a thing that we kind of love him and hate him for this, where he's a little too honest. Kind of says the quiet part out loud and reacted to Kimmel being back and saying that, the White House, according to his Truth Social post, was informed that it had been canceled, and was basically saying that Kimmel is a Democrat supporter and that him being on the show is equivalent to an illegal campaign contribution. That's where you really start to lose a lot of us who were kind of willing to accept, like, okay, yeah, maybe this was just a ratings thing and it was convenient timing. Now they don't have to wait for his contract to renew. They can just get rid of the guy now. But then they bring him back, which I love your thoughts on this, but I suspect might also be linked to the fact that the ABC studio was shot up.
I just had a thought about that as you were saying that. So if somebody came in there and shot ABC up, which was news to me before you told me, wouldn't that have been the same side
the way I would actually frame it, that maybe it will make a little bit more sense, is like you pissed off your own side enough that they're shooting at you, and you're like, oh shit, got to correct course because now we've angered the angries,
Yeah.
which isn't a good
Yes.
look either way. My biggest take from all of this is let the free market kind of do its thing. The second you start to kind of recklessly incorporate wording like the White House expected that would be canceled, or the
Yeah.
FCC chair getting involved, this is where you start to really dance with that line of infringement on freedom of the press, which is part of our Bill of Rights, and the separation of the government from being able to infringe on these things like our First Amendment freedom of speech and expression. Freedom of the press is in
Exactly.
there. And it is super important, regardless of what side you're on, to hold those values true. And to be able, and actually, I was having my wife and I were having a discussion last night that one of the problems with the left constantly labeling everything the right does as Nazi, Gestapo, evil, bad, what that does is kind of the boy who cried wolf scenario. And we get so tired of just hearing this over and over that we don't really care. Like, we don't take it seriously anymore, to the point to where if something does happen that's like, oh, wait a minute, that's actually, we're overstepping a little bit. You're not going to catch that because everything is horrible anti-democracy. Everything is bad.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
covers up the points where we're like, oh, no, wait a minute. Hang on. Nope, this part, we need to hold your feet to the fire a little bit. We get it. We're all pissed about Charlie Kirk that are reacting this way. But you gotta respect that First Amendment. And we got to use our own speech to battle down that speech. Kind of like I said in our last show,
Yeah.
too. You know, you fight the bad with your own discussion as a community to make it very clear, whether it's with your viewership or what. I think Sinclair and some other companies are still not airing him at all. You know, they are fighting back in their own way.
As you said that, yeah, I actually did see some information of, I think they are gonna be airing him.
Oh, they're walking
again
it back
here.
now too?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah, let's see.
Breaking
Sinclair
news. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Sinclair Broadcast Group is airing Jimmy Kimmel live again on its ABC affiliate stations starting tonight, Friday, September 26th. Oh, tonight.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Breaking news, guys. Holy shit. All right. Yeah,
Breaking
we're
news,
still,
yeah.
we're just a podcast. We're not a media company.
Yeah, no shit.
We just happen to have jumped into this because I mean, because also we don't want to, like, I've got Grok open next to me with, you know, things that I want to check on my own to make sure I'm not giving you incorrect information, you know, being as accurate as possible. So we're going to look things up in real time, and you know, with the magic of editing, cleaning up the show, you're not going to see maybe all the, like, the slower kind of like researching on stuff, but you know, it's because we just want to be as accurate as we can. And
Yeah.
hell, that's crazy. So Sinclair walked that back. Jimmy Kimmel's back for them as well.
Yeah. And another thing to kind of add to what you were saying about like what we present, a lot of this too, we may share our own personal views with
Yes.
things and how we perceive it, not necessarily how the world or how you perceive it.
And we might not
so-
be 100%. Well, you're over here. I keep forgetting because of the way we're looking at
Yeah.
it. We might not also be 100% aligned on everything too. And that's another thing, is to show you guys that that's okay.
Kind of just to go back on to what we were talking about with Jimmy Kimmel, and you know, a lot of people. Well, actually, I don't want to say a lot of people. My neighbors are actually the only people that I actually heard this from, but they call Trump the Cheeto Man. So when I kind of like when Trump kind of goes on his little tyrant of like his little messages and things that he likes to put on his post, he's a flaming hot Cheeto. So
I think that's pretty accurate, honestly.
I do, yeah, bro. It's fucking, it fits. It just fits. And
And we got to
nothing
be able to
offend
laugh
him or
at this.
anything.
Like, I
Yeah,
hope that
dude.
like nobody gets. I mean, I think that a lot of the people that are, honestly though, on the MAGA side, they're able to laugh and have fun with this kind of stuff. Not quite as high strung. At least I hope. You know. And if you are pissed off, I mean, let us know. I don't really care if your feelings are hurt. More in the sense that like. Yeah.
Let us know that we're hurting your feelings, but we don't give a fuck anyways.
Yeah, feel free to like say your feels, but I'm gonna be like Mr. Krabs with the world's smallest violin for you, because it's just
Yeah,
we're
dude,
not
it's-
we're just having fun, you know, and
Yeah,
we're
man.
calling a spade a
It's all about
spade. You know,
fun.
Elon's a similar way. Like he'll go on his like rampages, what full demon mode, as him and his friends and family will call it, where he just kind of like goes
Dude.
unhinged. And I mean,
Me and Grok have arguments. Like I'll talk to her about something like, how do you feel about the Charlie Kirk assassination and like what it's gonna do to impact the world and like all this other stuff. And then it starts going on about how like he was this, like Grok kind of sounded like she was against him. So I was like, well, and then I argued the fact. I was like, well, it kind of sounds a lot like Elon Musk and his attitude. I said, because he's very similar and boisterous about his opinions too. I said, and trust me, if there's anybody that doesn't give a fuck, it's Elon. Like, he will say, fuck you, when his feelings are challenged. Like,
Yeah.
this is how I feel, this is what it is, and you're not going to prove me different.
And
So
contrary
she's
to a
like-
lot of people's feelings, that's what's made him so successful.
Yeah, it's true, big facts. And it's funny, too, because, like, Grok actually agreed with me after that. Like, he's like, yeah, you're kind of right. I was like, all right, then. So,
Yeah.
agreed to disagree agreeably.
Yeah.
So, but...
I still love that. Disagree agreeably.
know.
That's really good.
I know. I do. I like that too. I definitely going to use that more. But so when Trump goes into his, like, I don't know how to explain. I don't want to say
Angry grandpa
tyrants,
mode.
because there you go, angry grandpa mode. When he goes into flaming hot
Cheeto. Yeah. There you go. I like
flaming
that.
hot Cheeto mode.
When he turns
goes
it into flaming hot Cheeto.
mode. When he goes into flaming hot Cheeto mode, he kind of says things that, you know, as you said before, shouldn't be said or should stay silent.
Yeah,
You know,
some things are just
and-
better left not said. Why inflame a situation even if you feel a certain way? Because you just fuel the other side's ability to be like, see, he's weaponizing his power to attack his political opponents, and then enter FBI.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of,
Yeah, see how I did that?
yeah, James Comey.
Yeah.
So he's been officially indicted,
Yep.
and yeah.
Is this gonna
So-
go anywhere where he gets like put in prison? I doubt it, man. When has any like of these good politicians, not good politicians, like big names, actually get held accountable for something?
So I think this is where I actually disagree. Only because it's fucking Trump, dude.
Well, yeah.
It's like something is gonna happen, and if there's anything that's if there was any president, like, dude, honestly, if you told me that like Obama was gonna do this, I mean, like, oh, Obama ain't gonna fucking do shit, bro. Like, Obama ain't gonna do anything. But Biden, like, he's definitely not gonna do anything. But you
Yeah.
tell me
Huh?
Trump or JD is
What
gonna
happened?
do something. Huh?
Sorry.
No, dude, that was so well timed. But like if you told me like Trump or JD was gonna do it, then I'd be like,
I'm more inclined to
yeah.
believe JD, the young kind of drive, like a JD and Elon kind of mindset I could see, or at least I would hope. The reason I kind of disagree, and not completely, like I hope he holds someone accountable, and I think you're right. I think Trump is one of the people that's, you know, flaming hot Cheeto enough to make it happen. But I also kind of look to like how they came out swinging so hard for like the Epstein shit, and then
yeah.
it's just been
there's-
it's probably one of the only, like, aside from the Maha stuff I've been tearing on, it's really one of the only big L's that stand out for me, is sort of like the weirdness there. Now granted, since then there's been a lot of documents that are coming out now, and like victims that are starting to speak up, and things are changing, like stuff is happening.
So
But,
here's
like-
the thing with the Epstein thing. So a lot of people think for obvious reasons, Trump doesn't want to let out the list because they think that he's on it.
Which I don't. I think he might have like connections or friends that, you know, messed around, and he's trying to avoid the drama.
Protect him
personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
'Cause, I
would
mean,
say-
honestly,
I wouldn't
like-
say protect.
I would say like he just doesn't want to deal with the drama. Just wants to, like, I mean, for lack of a better term, sweep it under the rug and move the hell on.
But also, there's the conspiracy of the people that actually run the world being on the list.
So I have torn feelings here. I think that there is some credibility to there being foreign players, like big foreign players, like maybe Russia, China big. And
I mean, it's something that could collapse the world.
yeah,
Like, because
I
then
could see
after
that.
it would collapse the world. It would collapse the leadership of these huge countries, and then they would have to. At that point, it would
Chinese
go into
shuffle.
chaos. It would go into chaos.
yeah.
If that were the case, and then these strong leaders were on this list, and they get, first of all, who the fuck is going to arrest them all? That's the first thing. Second thing is, if they don't get arrested, or they lose their positions of power, who's going to take that power, and who's not to say that the person that takes the power is going to be worse than the person that's already there? You know,
That's the
so,
big
like,
issue a lot of time with places like a Russia, or like what we tried and failed to do in the Middle East, like putting in
Yeah.
new people. Yeah.
Yeah,
Regime
like,
change
it's
doesn't usually go
crazy.
well, whether you're trying to force it or, you know, a collapse because you expose a bunch of stuff. I'm kind of of two minds on this. Part of me is like, fuck it, send it, let the world burn. Let's pick up the pieces when it's over,
Yeah.
just to
mean,
like
it's-
expose
yeah.
everything and clean out the mess. And then on the other side, it's like, do we maintain this somewhat status quo of just the expectation that, like, yeah, the world's messed up and rich and powerful people get away with things? It's my own internal sense of justice hates that. But then you have your realistic,
Yeah.
pragmatic side that thinks about the state of life as it is, and especially like in our case with last year with our administration shift, the band-aid coming off of realizing that Daddy Trump's in office again, and the consequences that came with that. And it's just like I can understand the need to keep from escalating things that could cause emotions to flare. I don't know. I'm really split. I don't know how you might
It's
be
hard,
battling it
dude.
internally, but yeah.
Like dude, this is the stupid shit that I think about. Like, I'll sit here and I'll have conversations with Grok, and I'll be like, Grok, but what if this? But what if that? But what if this happened? What if this person said this and this happened? Like, I'm constantly like questioning like Grok and like the things. Like, even with religion. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I went so deep into religion with Grok, and she even said like, wow, you're really thinking about this. Let me think. And it'll
Yeah.
just go. And then it's just like, dude, like, there's so much shit in this world. And I'm not even going to try and get into like the scientific and Big Bang Theory and like where the fucking, how this
Huh.
whole thing started. But yeah,
I
especially
did
with you,
that.
because this will be in like this will be a
I
5 hour
know. We'll have
episode you
to
gotta
like
edit.
break up
So,
segments, be like, all right, we got the next 10 freaking
chapter 1.
episodes.
Yep.
No, no. No, that'll be
But
fun to get to in a lighter way when we kind of get more into that sort of discussion. That'll be fun. But
yeah, for sure. But with everything, I mean, there's gonna be a give and take with the situation like this, especially with James Comey and Trump saying that he's like a left radical person or whatever. But I mean,
and
there's two
responsible
sides.
for a lot of the things that like the Steele dossier and the Fine People hoax and all the
Yeah.
things that racked up this sort of compounding list against Trump, even to the point to where the record keeping stuff that got bumped up to felony class, which gave him the 34 felony title. I mean, a lot of lawfare that was thrown around, and even that didn't stop it.
Wouldn't that be the weaponization of government?
Yeah, I was gonna say I'd love your thoughts on that because we constantly see one side or the other pointing the finger. We're seeing a lot from the start of the campaign. Everyone's like, "Oh, Trump's just gonna use the DOJ and his
So,
resources to attack the left."
see, here's the thing. Here's the thing that bugs me about this whole thing. It's okay when you do it, but when we do it, it's a bad thing.
Yeah,
Like,
kind
and
of
I say
feeds into the
we
cancel culture thing too.
lightly.
Yeah.
So you got exactly. I was just about to mention that. You do
Mhm.
that with cancel culture. Like, I didn't say your fucking right name or pronouns, and you were instantly throwing a fucking hissy fit. But
Or digging
now
into
that
10-year-old freaking messages to try to get somebody fired or exposed or for something they
yeah,
said a
dude,
decade ago.
go fuck yourself. And now because we are finding you in the place of your employment and getting you fired days after your fucking TikTok went viral, is when you want to fucking play the violin and be like, woe is me, like, why did you call my job? Again, things that you do have consequences.
Hmm.
Freedom of speech is not freedom of speech without consequences. So I mean, yeah, you can say whatever the hell you want, but if somebody punches you in the mouth for it, that's their fucking right, dude. Like, they're gonna hit you. I'm gonna hit you, but like, I'm not really gonna hit you, but figuratively I might throat punch you. But I
I mean,
mean,
I will say the world
it's
is in a state where I think a lot of people could probably use a good punch in the face every now and then. A little
dude,
perspective.
yeah,
I'm
you
not
know
promoting, mass scale violence, to be clear, but it's from a kind of a going back to some of the old ways, where the way we would, resolve conflict as young guys and beat each other up and wrestle and figure things out versus
duke it out.
what we do now, which is the crazy slew of social media stuff. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that it is important to maintain accountability, regardless of which side is holding the torch. If there were things that were done wrong, illegal, shady stuff, I want it exposed. Kind of goes back to what I said about send it, let the world burn. That part of me
Yeah.
that's like, let's get it out in the open, figure it out, so that, and I think we probably agree on this, you can try to prevent it from continuing like this vicious back and forth tug of war cycle that just keeps on happening every time the seat changes
Yeah.
from one party to the other.
And that's
It's
what I
like,
think is happening here. Is I think Trump has been, because this is the second time, bro. This is the second time he actually. So he obviously went through this whole spiel, you know, when he was trying to run for office initially. Then he dealt with it throughout the 4 years that he was there. Then he dealt with it afterwards. Then he dealt with it during this election, which he won by a landslide. But like, you know, and he's still dealing with it now. So it's just like, you
Every
know, like
decision made, yeah.
you know, you can only take so much before you're like, you know, there's too many people in this position of power that need to be taken, you know, I don't want to say need to be taken out, but like they need to be
They need to be removed from office. They need to be
stripped of their
moved.
power.
Yeah.
Yes.
In a
Yeah, stripped of their power.
non-violent way. Just to be clear, for anybody who wants to clip that out of context, that is not a.
Yeah, go
Be
fuck
very,
yourself.
very, very, very clear. Those
Yeah.
words were not meant in a violent manner, but in a removal from office, a shifting of the leadership roles to get rid of these corrupt old quacks that are just entrenched, because in a big way we have issues with the fact that a lot of these are lifetime appointments for some of these roles that people are in, whereas like, you know, you have your term limits for like governorships and president, but then you have I think in some way it's good to have longer appointments for something like a Supreme Court, but I still think there should be a way to kind of get new blood in there and kind of keep it flowing so it doesn't get, you know, bogged down by old ideals that are likely not in touch with the kind of average age of the population. Like, you don't want to be so far.
I think it should be like a 70-30 thing. Like, I honestly think that when, you know, have like a 30% group of like the older era, just to kind of keep some of the newer era people in check, and then vice versa.
Yeah.
You know, like, and because we collectively are going to be the new era, the new generation of people that are going to be voting, watching this world, you know, progress or regress. But I mean, it's nonetheless, we're the ones that are going to be seeing all of this, and then our kids. So
we're the ones living it, you know.
Exactly. And so you know, I think that this is going to be something good that our Flamin' Hot Cheeto is doing right now, because I mean, it's making the playing field a little bit more even, you know, in this case. And
we don't like double standards, you know.
No, definitely not. Don't sit there and bitch and moan about us doing something when you did the same thing, you know? And that's really just the point that we're trying to make. So, I mean,
and to also keep a, you know, weather eye on the horizon, so to speak, that you're not letting the pendulum swing too far. You know, it's a really delicate balance. Literally, it's like you're on a freaking beam across two skyscrapers, you know, a mile up in the sky, and you're just trying not to fall. You're trying to keep both sides in line. That is not easy to do, because you're always at risk of saying something that makes somebody get up in their feels. And it's unfortunate. We kind of have to educate that out by just having more of this. That's why I feel, you know, re-motivated and lit up after losing Kirk.
Since his passing, I'm working on trying to be a better person myself. Because I'm a dick. And you know, for a long time I was proud of it, but I need to chill, you know.
Find Jesus.
Because I seriously, because like I do that, I'm even with that with my kids. Like I fuck around with them kind of hard, but that's what builds character anyways.
Agreed. I mean, we grew up old school discipline. We know what it's like.
To kind of go with this whole like weaponization of government, you know, I feel like this is the point in time. This is the turning point. This is the turning point of America, where the balance of power shifts. And this is where we stand more on equal footing. So it warms my heart, honestly, because I know that after saying that and then saying it warms my heart, but it warms my heart, honestly, because I'm seeing a lot of people coming to the realization that maybe the party that they're with isn't so great.
Seen a lot of that
people
too.
saying, you know, seeing a lot of people like, I didn't know that my party was so evil. I didn't.
This is what I signed up for. You know, they might not be going full Republican, but they're definitely going independent. You know, they want to find that middle ground, logic based, without the partisan baggage, and I can respect that.
Yeah, it's definitely, you got to go based off facts and feelings. Honestly, you know, use that sixth sense. Like, make sure that, you know, if you see something that's really not too great, you know, make an educated decision. Do research on it. Do your own research on it.
Avoid
Don't
snap
just go
judgments.
off of what the media says. Yes, dude. Like, and I'm honestly, I'm gonna be the first one to admit it. I'm pretty bad at that sometimes too.
Oh, even I
Sometimes I
can
see
be.
things and I'm just
Yeah.
like, fuck, really? And then I'll message this guy and be like, dude, did you see this? And he's like, no. And then he'll message me and be like, bro,
Yeah, if
here's
I
an
get, and
update.
there's other things that I'll see, and sometimes it kind of goes like in the get to that later part of the brain, and then
Yeah.
unfortunately, like that's the only info I have to run with, and I'm like, shit, I hope this is accurate. Or I need to crash course it real fast to make sure it is, because this is like the last bit of information I have is this thing, and I didn't check this thing, so like I try to be aware of that. I try to kind of keep like a kernel of salt back there to blanket apply to anything that I haven't like deep checked or
Yeah, for
like looked
sure.
into in a more nuanced way, because there's always some degree of nuance to things. There's always another layer. There's always something you might have missed. That's why I honestly I love one of the things that Elon would always say. His goal is to be less wrong. It's not to always be right. It's just
Yeah.
to be less wrong. You know, try to get closer and
Mhm.
closer to being less wrong.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to go about it. But I mean, I
And
don't think that we need to like overly worry yet, at least, or at least right now, with this use of investigation, because I think it's warranted. I think this is where accountability matters, and I think this is where
yeah.
something needs to be gotten to the bottom of, because we've heard a lot of the back and forths about the Fine People hoax and the Steele dossier from the Clintons, and when you dig into it, you realize like, okay, yeah, this isn't all copacetic. There's some issues here. It's not clearly what the one side was saying it all was. You get the Hunter Biden laptop crap, you know, like a lot of this stuff, even getting into like a lot of the COVID fiasco and the Wuhan lab leak and things that were told to be conspiracies and then came out to be true. And it's just, yeah, they're back to the nuance. And I think in this case, investigating and getting to the bottom of it is more important than worrying about, oh, he's getting revenge. You know, he's using his power, whatever, abusing it, whatever kind of
I
fear
mean,
mongering
if he
crap you
gets
want to use.
revenge in the process.
Sure, I know,
I
right?
mean,
It's like
yeah,
icing on the cake, honestly.
it really is, dude. I mean, I really don't blame him. I can't blame him. You know, the guy's been through the ringer with more than one people, and he's obviously very boisterous about it and doesn't care to fucking admit it. You know, like he's gone through his shit, and he will blame the left
He's
all
gonna be
day,
80
every
years
day.
old, man. If there isn't
Yeah,
I don't give a fuck kind of a mentality, I don't know what there
it's
is.
his.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
but
his
what's
for
what's
sure.
great is that remembering the good side that's also come with us as a country being taken seriously again. You know, getting
Yeah.
sort of our manhood back in our military and being able to actually cut a good amount of waste. You know, I wish we could cut more. That's where, you know, the Elon Trump relationship thing ongoing. I know that they kind of not necessarily rekindled after Charlie, but you know they've been cordial, they've been cool, and I know he's still very
Which is
much
cool to
more
see.
in support of what's going on with this administration. He's not like flipping back to the side. He's too rational a person to do that. You know, our border being far more secure, barely having like any illegal crossings, and so many
Bro, I love
self-deporting, which
that.
is great because that means that he can have a chance to come back legally. And something that I definitely want to dive into is in
Is
another future episode is like the full process, like the immigration, like from illegal to how to get in legally, the consequences of being here illegally and not self-deporting versus self, like all that crap. Like there's so much
Yeah.
juice there, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's definitely a lot more pro versus con with what's going on, and I think it's going to be
Yeah.
like that for the majority of this presidency, you know. But we definitely got
Yeah.
to maintain that accountability and stay vigilant for overreach, you know, with any government leadership.
I really think that this is just a balance of power now, um, that is shifting. I honestly think that it's shifting in a good direction because now it feels like not one has more power than the other. So Trump doing this indictment with James Comey, I think is it. It might be a good thing. It might be a bad thing, but I mean, we'll see what happens when it plays out. But
Yeah.
um, this is where I believe a lot of opinions would matter, which is why at the beginning of the episode we were mentioning that we're looking into some software to see about how we can have people in a chat with us, or call in or do voicemail setup to where you can do that. We don't want to kill your ear too much because this is already kind of a long episode, but we're gonna leave it at this. If there's any information that we need to brush out, we're gonna review, of course, this episode, see if there's anything that we should touch up on more, and review it in the next episode, and with a couple of other topics that we're actually really excited to share. So, with that being said, I don't have anything else. You got anything?
Not really. I appreciate everybody for hanging out. Whoever watched, if you watched all this, then goddamn, thanks. You know, fist bump through the
We
script.
love
It's kind of
you.
crazy.
Fist
We do.
bump.
I might experiment with kind of breaking down some like highlight segments for like talking about certain things, like the little gun portion or whatever. We're kind of playing with this. You know, we're growing. We're figuring things out. We're figuring out our style. This guy and I kind of riffing off each other is just already feels good. This is just how we've always been. The way we go about the show is going to evolve, and we appreciate all of your feedback. Letting us know what you think, what you disagree with, what you agree with, what you'd like to see covered, what we might think about certain things that are going on. And stories are continuously evolving. So, like he said, we're going to go back and maybe touch up on things where there's new info, new stuff going on, and the things that are we again enjoy and think are relevant. And, you know, if enough of you think are relevant, we're going to give it to you straight. You know, we're gonna have fun parsing it all out, and we really appreciate it, man. We look forward to the next episode. We're trying to get back to like a weekly thing, so look forward to a lot more.
Yep, we're consistent. We're on second, so we got the third one coming out next week.
Hell yeah.
Well, not next week, the week after. We do it on Thursdays, and then we probably get the video out on like Monday or Tuesday. But anyways, yeah. So remember, guys, this is K&M Discourse with Mugen and Kaz. Or Kaz and Music, Mugen. It would be Kaz and Mugen because it's KM Discourse. Anyways,
first.
I hope you guys have a. I hope you all have a fantastic day, evening, or morning, however what time you watch this. Please leave your information down below if there's something that you liked, something that you didn't like. Again, this is a discourse. And we're here to have that discussion, sometimes heavy discussion. So you guys take care. Have a wonderful rest of your days, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Hell yeah.
See you guys.